Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Friday Charge, brought to you by Geek Studios. As always, we are your hosts, Joel and Sebastian, and today, March 13th, 2026, had to look at my watch, double check the date. We've got a lot to talk about. R2 is finally here. Lucid has got some new stuff coming. Mercedes has some new stuff coming. We've got a little bit of we're going to talk about the Bolt a little bit, and we're going to have some unfortunate Honda news. It's been a big week for EV news. A big day for EV news. Anyway, so without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, our first topic of the night. Rivian has finally pulled the wraps off all the nitty-gritty details of the new R2. Let's dive in. So R2 will be available in 3 trim levels: the R2 Standard, R2 Premium, and R2 Performance. The R2 Performance will be the first model available starting in spring 2026. More on that later. And has a starting price of $57,990. Okay, later is now. So they keep saying spring 2026, but they've also said the configurator won't be online until June.
So it's available, you just can't buy it yet.
Anyway, I was like, unless it's the very beginning of June, that's not spring. Anyway, the R2 Premium is next, with an expected launch in late 2026 and a starting price of $53,990. And then the R2 Standard will be launching last sometime in early 2027 with a starting price of $48,490. Rivian has also stated they plan to at some point have a smaller battery version of the R2 Standard that will have a starting price of $45,000, but they haven't said much more about that. They have said sometime in 2027, but they've not given any additional detail. The R2 Performance will have 330 miles of range, 656 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 3.6 seconds. The R2 Performance features all-wheel drive, a, quote, semi-active suspension, end quote, premium audio, and premium interior that features heated and cooled seats. The rear glass drops down, and it will have compass yellow accenting, matrix LED headlights, standard 21-inch all-season wheels and tires with an optional 20-inch all-terrain wheel tire package. There's also an optional tow package, which will allow the vehicle to tow up to 4,400 pounds. You will also be able to option Rivian's Autonomy Plus platform and a compact spare tire. The launch edition does include Autonomy Plus for the vehicle's lifetime, as well as the ability to get a special green key fob. It does come standard with the tow package, and if you want to pay extra, you can get it in Rivian's launch green. The R2 Premium, which I'm expecting is going to be the most popular model, has basically all of the same features. It loses the active suspension and the compass yellow accenting, and it comes standard now on 20-inch wheels with an option for the 21-inch all seasons. Range is the same at 330 miles, but it only has 450 horsepower and only does 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. And then the base standard trim level has the shortest feature list, with only a rear-wheel drive powertrain available at 345 miles of range on this one. However, that is a Rivian estimate. That is not the EPA numbers. The 330-mile figure is an EPA number. 345 is Rivian ballparking. So it could be better, could be worse.
Somewhere in between, probably.
Yeah. It will only have 350 horsepower and will only do 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. This model features a standard interior, which still is leather, features heated seats up front, and then has a standard audio system. Cool. With 19-inch wheel standard. All-wheel drive is optional on this variant. Like I said, this is rear-wheel drive standard, and you can also upgrade to 20-inch wheels if you want them. For battery, we now know that at launch, these vehicles will feature a 87.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and Rivian is claiming a 10 to 80 session will take 29 minutes.
That's the magic number, seems lately.
That seems to be the number, yep.
28 to 30, it's the magic number.
If we want to talk about some of the competition, so it's going to have 9.6 inches of ground clearance, which pretty much beats out everyone except like the R1, and is 185.9 inches long. The Model Y is 188 inches long for comparison, so it's a couple inches shorter, but shouldn't make any huge difference. Price-wise, the Model Y Performance currently starts at $57,490. I have to say currently starts because you never know what Tesla's going to do with pricing.
Could be new price tomorrow.
But At that price, it's about $500 less than the R2 Performance. But trims do, however, get further apart as you move down the hierarchy. For example, the premium all-wheel drive Model Y has a starting price of $48,990, which is almost $5,000 less than the premium trim of the R2. That said, in my opinion, the R2 has a nicer interior, and should be higher quality, and I think
Yep.
you're going to be paying for some of that there. Also, I just think it looks better.
It does.
Rivian has shared that Autonomy Plus will be available as a subscription or a one-time purchase. You can either do $50 a month or $2,500 one time.
Now that's reasonable. That's reasonable.
Yeah. And so if you want to real quick scroll down for on that page and just kind of show off a little bit, you've got some pictures you can see.
Let me see if I can get the interior. I haven't shown much of the interior.
Yeah, if you keep
At the
scrolling
top.
down, it should get there. Yeah. So you can see they've got some stuff in here showing off the front. If you scroll down, there you go. So that is the Signature, is what they're calling the premium interior. So you can see it's available in a black and a white. And then you have the R2 Standard is available with only a black interior, and it's got some. You can see it has a light colored headliner instead, and
I like that.
it just looks a little cheaper.
Yep.
But it still looks honestly nice. They all come standard with a flashlight. You know,
Look
if you
at that.
need it,
Look
they
at
have-
that nice cup holder over there. Look at that.
They have 2 glove boxes. They have, and so yeah. So Joel, how do you feel about this as someone who has a reservation for an R2?
This is what I've been waiting for. So for me, I know I'm boring, but when you go back here, I will probably be looking at a standard. Probably the single motor long range will be enough for me because I don't do anything crazy with it. Oh my gosh. Little problem there. Little burp. Anyways, yeah, I like it. What wheels are you feeling here? Are you feeling those wheels or are you feeling on the standard? Are you feeling these?
Oh, I didn't realize the interior was a 360 you could drag around. Hold on one sec. On the standard.
Oh, it is?
Okay. So on the standard, those wheels, you know,
I kind of like the second. I kind of like those. I don't know why.
really, I was actually going to say, I kind of think I would have just go for the smaller wheels of a chunkier sidewall.
Which is that? Yep.
Yep.
That looks
I don't know.
that looks kind of Bronco-ish. This looks kind of EV9-ish, Kia-ish, those wheels.
Okay. I can see kind of where you're coming from there.
Yeah, if you know, they have to do those shapes. But yeah, either one would be fine. The smaller wheels are fine for me.
Now, if you go to the premium trim level, I think those wheels
are better than these.
Are better than those.
Yeah. Yep, I
think the second option is pretty sweet.
But we don't know how much these options are going to be, do we? Additional.
No.
Okay.
We can kind of look at R1 maybe for some estimated pricing, but
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then performance.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about this. If you go to performance, you can get it in freaking purple.
I had it up there. There it is. That's Sebastian's color.
So fun fact. So a little
purple
story.
And yellow look good together. They hit different. I like it.
A little story about this. Apparently, the R1 was not supposed to be available in purple. Oh. So you remember they did that Borealis edition and they did the limited purple?
Mm-hmm.
So they built the color for R2 and had extra essentially and decided to go ahead and kind of soft launch it on R1 just to see how it would do.
We got a couple buckets of purple left. Let's just throw it on there. So yeah.
And that's one of the things that's interesting too when they were talking about it. Rivian claims that they've been working on R2 longer than they worked on like R1S.
Mm-hmm.
That this has kind of been in the works since the very beginning, which I think is cool. I mean, it looks like a solid, respectable package. Again, me personally, I feel like they got the pricing pretty much right on the head. I'll be curious to see, in a year from now, are they able to actually do the $45,000 model, or does pricing go up? We have 18 months or so until we see that, and that's enough time for things to change.
So yeah, I think that's what they gotta keep it at that 45. They can't say it's 45 and then comes out at 52. That's just gonna bump everything.
Yeah, but I do commend them that the pricing they announced today is pretty much in line with what people were expecting and hoping.
Yeah. The real question is, will we see the $45,000 standard range, or will they think maybe we're only gonna do the 48 one and not even do the 45?
Well, yeah. So that's another interesting kind of thing is Rivian has talked about previously that they don't sell a lot of base models, and we're going to talk about that more here in a second. Actually, we can just kind of transition into that. We can keep that in the same vein, they don't sell a lot of base models, and that's why I was kind of said I think the most popular version is going to be just the R2 Premium. That's the one
Yep.
they're going to make the most of. That's the one they're going to sell the most of because it's one of those, it's like a $5,000 lift, but you get quite a bit more stuff.
Yeah, and $5,000 over a 6-year loan if you buy it is not that much. So
Right.
Yep.
And assuming you don't do a longer loan as well.
Yep.
Uh,
So here's the details too on the screen too, if everyone wants to check them out. So
yeah. So if you'll go back to the interior section real quick, so the
Sure.
audience who's watching at home can see. If you go back to where you had the colors, if you kind of you can fly around on that, and so you can kind of get a good look at the back seat and things like that on each interior. So that you're on the base interior. And that's where you can kind of see some of the difference. You can see like the seat material is slightly different. It has a little bit more detail on the upscale model and things like that. I really like the white option, actually. Unfortunately, I don't know that I can do white interiors anymore.
That's a lot of white. That's a
That
lot
is
of
a
white,
lot
bro.
of white. I'm hoping too that down the line they'll add some more interesting colors as well. They have that bluish color on R1, and I'm like, I could dig that. But yeah. So talking about Rivian, how they do things, in a bit of unsurprising news, Rivian this week announced that they plan to sunset the R1S and R1T dual standard model. This model, for those unfamiliar, is the base entry point for the R1 series. It features all-wheel drive and a smaller LFP battery pack, which delivers up to 270 miles of range on both models. The R1T standard has a starting price of $72,900, and the R1S had a starting price of $76,990. I'm not too surprised to see these go. Like I mentioned before, Rivian has said that people don't go for their base models. The company previously stated that the average selling price for the R1 is around $90,000. Rivian also is probably having a harder time sourcing LFP cells thanks to the current everything and global tariffs and
geopolitical.
whatnot. Thank you. And also Rivian's had some issues with like battery pack calibration on these models and whatnot. And to my knowledge, that's not been fixed. They're still kind of working through it. And honestly, I could also see them killing the $72,000 R1 to widen the gap some between R2 and R1. Especially once you start adding options to, say you want an R2 performance and you start adding the tow package and like all-terrain wheels and all that. At some point, you might end up in a situation where it's like, oh, well, for like a couple more grand, I'll just buy an R1. But I don't know. That one might not be that big of a consideration there. I mean, we are talking still a pretty sizable difference. That'd be a lot of options. But, I could just, in the general, simplifying the whole product lineup.
So,
it makes a little bit of sense.
Here's what I'm thinking. So, premium, let's go back to R2. Premium comes out later this year, right?
Yep.
Standard comes out early next year.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if I could find next year, because that's when I'm looking to buy cars in 2027. Could I find a premium with some maybe 10,000 miles on it that I could get for the price of a standard?
Interesting. You have to ask Colin about that.
I asked my buddy about that. See if he can track me down one. See if they come down just $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 in price. Because if that's the case, I'd get a premium.
Yeah.
If he could find me a premium around 50 grand, that's got like 10,000 miles on it. Oh yeah, let me get on that.
Yeah.
Let me get on that. Yeah.
Or will we see the pricing go up on the used market because of scarcity? Because that's the one thing, we still haven't fully seen that Rivian is going to be able to crank these out at the speed that I hope they can crank them out, and I think they need to crank them out.
I read a report somewhere doing one of the researches that they're hoping for 20 to 25,000 vehicles produced this year. That's pretty hefty. Good. That's hefty.
Hopefully they make it. But
yep, that's
that'll
hefty.
be. We've talked about it before. R2 really feels like a make or break for the company.
It does,
and they've gotten price right, in my opinion. Now it's just building the darn thing and selling the darn thing and getting it out the door.
Maybe they're going to just start mass producing them right now. Then when it opens in June, you can get it and there's no backlog.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because there's not much configuring you can do. I mean, you can build a car and, still add a tow hitch too if you need to, I guess. So we shall see.
Yeah. So speaking of companies needing to do things and having big moments in front of them, Lucid has given us our first peek at their new mid-sized offerings. So at this week's Lucid Investor Days, the company gave us their first peek at their upcoming EV offerings named the Cosmos and Earth. So full disclosure, there's not much that Lucid is actually showing off
Yep.
yet, but we do have some initial specs and expectations. For starters, like Lucid's other vehicles, these will be on an 800 plus volt architecture. I say 800 plus volt because for those who don't know, Lucid Air is like 925 volts when it's full.
Smoking.
It's actually a high enough voltage pack that on some older units it causes problems. For example, early ChargePoint CPE 250s would only go to 924 volts. So you could not charge a Lucid Air to 100% on an older CPE 250. I think they've done software updates on the chargers at this point, and that's fixed. But I remember when the car launched, that was like an actual thing. Like not that you need to DC fast charge to 100%, but it was like, oh, you can't do this. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Anyway, Lucid has also introduced a new drive unit for these models, which they've named Atlas. The new unit has a reduction of weight a 23% reduction in weight and uses 30% less parts compared to the company's current generation powertrains, which, Joel, you and I have seen the current motor.
I don't know how much smaller they can get.
How much smaller can you make the darn thing?
I know.
And I think they're still claiming like 600 something horsepower out of it.
It's the size of a small suitcase, isn't it?
I mean, does that article have any pictures? Because I mean, I need the audience to see this. Okay, I'll pull some up because this is actually crazy. And this is one of those people talk to us about. He's like, how does Lucid get the crazy range that they get and things like that? And it's got to be just because of stuff like this. Let me see. There's got to be some pictures here somewhere.
I'm looking too. Is it the?
Yeah. Okay. This will work. This is not the best picture, but this will work. It has them side by side at least. So
okay, cool. That's probably the one I just saw.
So if you look at this is their current powertrain, which is small. It's smaller than what's in a Model S. It's smaller than what's in a Chevy Bolt, whatever. This is their new powertrain.
Yeah, it's half the size, literally.
And I want to make it clear to the audience, this is not just the motor. It also has the inverter attached to it.
Yep.
How?
Yep. Because the motor we just saw the motor on display, right? Not the inverter.
Yeah, we saw a motor on a stand. Yeah. It was like this.
And it was like it was like a size of almost like a small briefcase, a large briefcase.
Yeah, it was not small. Big. And it says it's not heavy either. No. It weighs like, yeah. Anyway, I just, after seeing that earlier, was like, how the heck did you do that?
I know.
Let me stop.
I don't understand how they do it. That's how they get that stupid efficiency, I guess so.
And I mean, they have some top-notch engineering. I will give them that. Anyway, Lucid isn't giving us any sort of definitive range figures, but they have stated they can deliver 300 miles of range on just 69 kilowatt hours of energy, thanks to this new powertrain and the new drag coefficient a drag coefficient of just 0.22 on the new vehicles. Lucid seems to be targeting a starting price of $50,000 for their these new midsize offerings. They stated the Cosmos will be geared to customers looking for on-road performance, and the Earth will be for the go anywhere crowd. That was a quote. They've also hinted that there may be a third model geared towards the adventuring crowd. So this is super neat to me. Just Lucid's another one of those companies that kind of, similar to Rivian, they start with their hyper luxury stuff and now they're trying to move into mainstream after they've had some time to get some manufacturing stuff down, whatever. And they're another company that I feel like these mid-size offerings are going to be pretty crucial to their future. And so seeing this and seeing that if they could get that price right,
they got to get it right.
I mean, a $50,000 Cosmos and a $50,000 R2 seems like those will be pretty close to each other, and that's going to be Model Y territory. That's definitely the price point I think they need to hit. Now the question is, do they? And from what we've seen, at least now, if this has an 800 volt architecture, and we know how gravity charges, gravity will do 400 kilowatts, no problem. If it has the 800 volt architecture and it charges faster and it's more efficient, XYZ, whatever, and it's the same price as R2, does this end up stealing things away from R2? Can Lucid build enough of them?
how would you compare Lucid's technology to Rivian's? I think Rivian has them beat.
I think Rivian still has them beat,
Software.
especially on
Yeah.
on software
Yes.
reliability so far. That said, Lucid has been making huge strides in a very short amount of time.
Yep.
You know, Gravity launched, it was pretty rough. But from what I've seen, you know, I follow some people that own Gravities and things like that. Things have gotten much, much better very rapidly.
They have.
I think they also just added CarPlay and Android Auto to them, which I thought was neat.
Yay!
You know.
Sebastian will like that.
But anyway, so I'm excited to see more. Again, they didn't give us a whole much more info. There's some other tidbits in there. They showed off a robo-taxi concept and some things like that, but I didn't really write anything about it because that's more...
It's a concept.
That's further away.
Yes.
I'm kind of right now interested in the now.
Yes.
Because like I said, I feel like this is what they have to get right.
Next 12 to 16,
if
they got to
get
this
right.
Yes.
Then they might have enough money to start doing robo-taxi and other crazy things.
Yeah. I mean, because you have to understand, Lucid, and same with Rivian, there's only a certain many people out there that can afford those cars. They're nice cars. There's a reason why they're expensive. They're really nice cars. But if you want mass market appeal, you got to have a car that's around 50,000. Because now you're bringing in a whole nother group of people at 50,000 that you can't bring in at 80 or 90,000.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about another new car?
Let's talk about another luxury
it's
new
not
car,
often
Sebastian.
we get a third new car in
we have 3 in one
episode. I know, right?
I know.
I guess technically 4 because Lucid is technically 2. Anyway,
yeah, sure.
Maybe 3.
We'll go with that. Yeah,
could be 5. I don't know.
It could be 5. Well, we're losing one we're losing a couple down the road, so it's going to
we'll get there.
Will equal itself out.
It'll equal out.
Yeah.
Mercedes has introduced the VLE. So this new model is very interesting in several ways to me. So called the VLE, this is a new luxury van with seating for up to 8. And it's fully electric. And this is the part that's craziest to me. They're bringing it to the US.
Yeah.
We never get stuff like this.
No one's making vans anymore. You have, 3 companies making vans and that's it now?
And I mean, the only EV van is the ID Buzz, which, you know, as much as I love that thing, it's maybe not the strongest entry.
Yeah. There we go.
So the VLE will feature a 115 kilowatt hour battery pack, which in the WLTP cycle has achieved 435 miles of range. So in EPA testing, it'll be over 300, but not 400. This will be an 800 volt class vehicle. Mercedes-Benz claims it will have a peak charge speed of 315 kilowatts, with 10 to 80 happening in 25 minutes. The VLE is going to be available in both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive variants, will be available with optional air suspension and optional rear steering with up to 7 degrees of motion. On the interior, Mercedes is really kind of leaning into that luxury shuttle idea. With the available option, the rear seats can not only be power, they could also feature massage, lumbar control, calf support, heating, cooling, you know, the whole 9 yards. In the rear, you can also get an optional 31-inch 8K display that kind of comes down off the ceiling, and Mercedes says you can use a split view, so then each passenger can have their own, I guess, what's that, about 15.5-inch display in front of them.
Plenty big enough,
which would each be 4K anyway. And, you know, that giant media screen should pair pretty nicely with a 22-speaker Burmester sound system. Now, of course, so all this, again, it's not cheap.
Oh, no.
And this is the part of this that confuses me a little bit. So U.S. pricing's not been announced yet, but European pricing has. And in Europe, the van is going to start around 79,000 euros, which is about 92,000 US dollars. Joel, is there room in the U.S. market for a $100,000 electric minivan?
I mean, the Gravity looks like a minivan, but I don't think so. I mean, this would have to be like, I don't know. I don't know what the market is.
I can see some kind of business use case for it,
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
luxury
thinking.
charters, luxury like rental, like prom rentals or something. But like, is that a big enough market to justify it?
Yeah, I mean, they may say it's going to be available in the U.S., but they may sell 1,000 a year, maybe something.
And
like
that's they haven't really talked. You know, we don't know. It's like, yes, there's going to be all these different features. We don't know what combinations they're bringing here.
No.
We might not even be able to get the front wheel drive model.
Mm-hmm.
which if the front wheel drive model starts at $92,000 converted to US dollars, who knows what the all wheel drive model is going to cost? I
I
mean,
know.
and then how much is it going to be to add these mega recline ultra luxury seats and 31-inch screen and all that jazz? It's just a weird thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm pumped that we're getting
Oh, this
something
looks.
weird.
I love this. This looks awesome. I love the
Yeah,
little.
don't get me wrong. I think it looks okay.
Yeah.
I think the exterior is a little ugly, but it's a van, so like,
Yep.
there's only so much you can do.
Yep.
I mean, look at that. They're showing stinking flexible seating that goes backwards.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, just.
I just don't understand how a company like Mercedes
Yeah.
why are they doing this? Apparently, this concept does well in China.
Uh-huh.
In China they have the Zeekr Mix and they have some other models,
But not at $90,000.
not at $90,000. And so it's like Mercedes doesn't feel like they're really competing there. Europe, they still are pretty into vans, but are they into luxury vans?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not European. Maybe they are. Maybe this is going to sell like hotcakes in the UK.
I like how they went with the OG logo on the front that sticks up. I like that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And this is such an interesting vehicle to me. I'm excited to see one.
I am too. I'm surprised there's that much on the website. I finally reached the bottom now. So yeah.
I don't know that we're going to see very many of them.
I totally agree. I mean, we'll probably never. I guarantee we're not going to see any in Arkansas. I mean, they may get one.
We might be one. Hey, I still sometimes see R63s. Okay,
hey, they had one electric G-Wagon on our lot here for a little bit, and then it was gone. So who knows?
For Joel, since you might not know this, I think 63 is the right number. So Mercedes back in probably what was that 2010, 2011? Mercedes R63. Oh gosh, it's older than that. Okay. It was like 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, that generation. Mercedes had a minivan in the US. It was the R series.
Mm-hmm.
And Mercedes, because they were crazy, sold an AMG version of it in the US that had the what was it? What's the R63 engine? I can't remember. 507 horsepower, 155 mile an hour top speed.
For a van?
For a minivan? Okay, 507 horsepower, 6.2 liter V8.
In a van? You put a V8 in a van?
And so it's like, I shouldn't be too surprised that Mercedes is doing something like this because, I mean,
I know.
They used to do cool things like this. I'm just not expecting it.
We'll see what happens when it gets time to
all
bring
that to
it
say,
over here.
I have seen 2 R63s randomly on the interstate throughout Little Rock, and I know they were different vans because they were different colors.
So they must be pretty old then.
And so if we can sell 2 R63s in the US, maybe we can sell 1 VLE.
That's right. And maybe a special order thing. You can special order it and they bring it over here. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of these just sitting there on dealer lots. They're going to be custom special order ones. Yep.
Yeah.
They may have one as just shows a demo, and that's about it.
Yeah. Moving on. The new Chevy Bolt charges fine. Press embargoes have lifted on the new Chevy Bolt, and we can now confirm that it charges. It charges. Yep. GM claims that a 150 kilowatt peak charge rate in 25-minute 10 to 80 for the new model, and thanks to some testing done by other auto journalists, we can now confirm that it does seem to be true. Mm-hmm. Autospec released a video outlining their 10 to 80 session and showed the car reaching a peak of 156 kilowatts, with the curve staying above 150 kilowatts until around 40%, and then slowly tapering down. By the time it hit 80%, it was down to about 80 kilowatts. The video cuts off there. I would be a little curious to know what the charging behavior is past 80%, because this is an LFP battery pack. So, in theory, you can charge it to 100% every day. So how are they playing? Or, of course, it's going to slow down as you get higher, of course. But I'd just be curious to see, the old Bolt and other Ultium vehicles. Once you cross the 80%, they pretty much crater. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious if GM continued the same charging logic there, compared to our EGMP cars that'll still be pulling like 50 kilowatts at 94% for some reason.
Yeah, I got the stat sheets up on the screen here, so.
And again, this is a huge improvement over the outgoing car. but this is just fine. It's faster charging than a lot of new cars at 25 minutes, 10 to 80.
Smaller
Of course,
battery
it also
probably
has a
why.
smaller battery, 65 kilowatt hours. And it's just, this doesn't feel revolutionary or anything. This feels like what the car probably should have had originally anyway. You know, we're not 150 kilowatts. We're not breaking any records. It's fine. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for it. As someone who owns a Chevy Bolt, I am happy to see that this car charges 3 times faster than mine.
So reading this article here, I got the electric article up on the screen here, and it says, upon checking local dealers' inventory the next day, 8 of the 11 cars they had were monochrome. So
no one wants the fun colors.
Not a lot of the colors are coming in. So
honestly, though, that kind of makes sense.
Silver and white.
Because if it's going to be sitting in dealer inventory, it's a lot harder to sell the colors. The colors go to people that order them. Is kind of generally how I feel like it goes. If it's going to just sit on the dealer lot, white, silver, black.
It's similar to what we see with the Silverados and stuff. It's usually black or white. That's what we normally see on the lots. So
Right. It's a shame. Don't get me wrong. That said, okay, I don't remember this. I'm about to pull up my screen. I don't remember this color when we went to the launch event.
Was it the yellow?
No. It's worse.
Is it the green? Lime?
Yeah, there's like a green, gray. Share. Sebastian's doing all kinds of screen sharing today. Better watch out. Usually we end up messing up the recording when we do this.
I know.
This one.
Why is it so tiny? There it is. That's a new color.
Yeah, I do not remember that color. It's horrible.
Where's the orange?
Right here.
Habanero orange. It looks more red on there.
It does look more red. In real life, it has a pretty orange color, but I even noticed like in the pictures I took at the event, it comes out pretty red. But yeah, this is an awful color.
Okay, and the one picture that I just showed you, they didn't have that. They had a yellow.
So on the RS trim, you can get yellow.
That's what I saw. Okay, yeah, okay.
Anyway, I've seen that floating around. They had one at the press event, and I kept seeing it in the background of people's photos, and I was just like, ugh.
So do you prefer LT or RS?
I mean, I prefer the RS.
I like the wheels better than the RS.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not, controversial opinion, I'm not a huge fan of blacked out wheels.
Really?
Yeah, I like a little bit of silver accenting somewhere. I like a little bit of definition. Because to me, this, like, you know, it's like, oh, I can't see any detail on these wheels. I can't tell the design, you know. That said, I don't think
that's
just plain silver versions, I think that's a little too far in the other direction. Kind of like, you know, like the wheels on my car. They're mostly all black except for the silver.
These should be hitting lots anytime now, correct?
Yeah, they have been hitting lots.
Okay, good. Okay.
We just don't have any here yet.
Not Arkansas. They got to work their way in, I guess.
I don't know.
Yep. We shall see.
Anyway, and our last story for tonight, assuming we don't find anything else random to go on tangents about, Honda has given up on EVs before they even started. Before they even started in the U.S. Let me be a little more specific.
Yes.
So if you'll look back in your crystal ball, you remember that Honda had announced that they were going to be building 3 EV models for the U.S. market, and all 3 were going to be built here in the U.S. in Ohio. The 0 Series SUV, the 0 Series sedan, and the Acura RSX. Well, guess what? Honda has announced that they're scrapping all 3 models in a move that the company states. In a move that the company states is going to cost them $15.7 billion. Which means this is the first annual loss the company will be reporting in almost 70 years. Now, this is a part that was kind of surprising to me. Honda is contributing 3 things to this decision. A shift in the EV market thanks to the current everything.
Geopolitical.
Thank you. An increase in tariffs, and this is the one I'm really surprised to hear them just admit openly. Their inability to compete with new players, especially with Chinese EVs. You don't know how shocking it is to hear an automaker just admit that they don't think they could be competitive.
I know, especially Honda.
And I mean, of course, if any automaker was going to come out and just be like, yeah, we're not going to do it because there's no sense in doing it if we can't compete, it would be Honda to be that pragmatic about it. But it's just so shocking to hear a PR department just come out and be like, yeah, we know we'd lose, so we're just not going to do it.
That is weird. That is weird. I mean,
anyway, I don't have many other notes on this. Honda says they're going to be
put out a new model of anything.
I mean, I guess, and that's kind of like the only new would be
HRV?
like the Prologue and the ZDX, both of which are just GM vehicles that are badge engineered and.
But they're not making the Prologue anymore, right?
I don't honestly know what the state of the Prologue is.
Yeah.
I know the ZDX is gone.
The ZDX is gone, yeah.
Which the ZDX, for those listening, was based on the Lyric platform, and then the Prologue is based on the Equinox platform.
Yeah. And the Prologue was a nice car. We drove it, and it was nice. It was built like a Honda,
and it's had great has had great lease deals
Top
and all sorts of things. It seems
sales,
to be moving well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just seeing this and it's like 15.7 because I mean they've built the factory. The factory's there. They've employed.
What are they going to do
with
it?
They're hybrids.
Yeah. There you go.
And then they said that they plan to do it in a way that is flexible, that they can pivot back to EVs when ready.
I will have to say the two EVs that they were going to bring to the US didn't look very mainstreamish.
I think
they were a little Jetsony.
So I have some opinions here.
Let's hear.
I think the 0 Series SUV was fine. I don't understand the sedan.
Yeah,
I don't understand the building with sedan. I guess at the same time though, I don't understand it. But Honda is one of the few companies that still sell a sedan or two sedans, and they both do well.
Yep.
You know, the Accord and the Civic, they both sell well. So that's probably what they were going for there. So maybe I get it a little bit. But I honestly feel like the 0 Series SUV probably would have done fine. But Honda, you know, especially with them admitting they can't compete. Another one that they haven't come out and said anything about, but seems pretty dang likely to me. Remember the whole Afeela?
Yeah, I remember the Afeela.
That partnership with Sony and Honda that's supposed to also be coming sometime this year. Well, if you look at the specs that they have announced on that, assuming some of that would be carrying over to the 0 Series, yeah, they could compete. The Afeela was supposed to be launching at what, $90-something thousand, and also features I think it was like under 300 miles of range, and also 150 kilowatt DC fast charging, and just all these things.
Just get a Lucid.
Yeah, it's like it just didn't compete. And I mean, I guess if I could see Honda if they were going to be in a situation where they were doing similar things to that, you know,
so
surely they would.
So it was funny because Honda announcement was we're not going to sell these in the U.S. because we can't compete with China. China doesn't sell in the U.S. So is that
they can't compete with China? They can't compete with China in other new EV manufacturers.
Okay,
so I'm talking Rivian, Tesla, Lucid. But I would assume China. I mean, they did mention, or somewhere it did mention China because I mean, global cars, right?
Yep.
And so I mean, my only assumption is they must not be at a point that they feel like they can do it in a way that would be pushing the envelope any. But also, this is crazy because this is how in the world is Toyota?
Yeah.
How is Toyota the one leading the way right now?
Yeah.
With
Subaru
leading the way in like releasing new models.
I know.
And other than, I mean, there's some weak specs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they still don't charge super fast. They still don't have super big range, whatever. But how is Toyota, Subaru the ones doing it?
Our last couple episodes about new vehicles have been Lucid, Rivian, Toyota, Subaru, and Mercedes.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of five you would think of at the top of your head.
Especially because, you know, Toyota and Subaru, they both released, you know, the first gen BZ and Solterra. And that's
Lexus.
all they did. Oh, yeah. And Lexus. And that's all they did. And no one particularly loved them. Or at least not, you know, their Solterra owners seem to be pretty diehard. They kind of seem like Bolt owners in my interactions online. Not a bad thing.
Nope.
I'm a Bolt owner. But they seem to be
that's just Subaru owners in general. So.
Yeah, they seem to be very hardcore. I love my car. My car is great. which, I mean, hey, if it's great for you, it's great for you.
So for you,
But
yep.
on paper, they were not very compelling options. And in the EV realm, as people that have driven multiple EVs and a lot of EVs, they did a lot of EV stuff wrong. Um,
It was a
but now
compliance car.
they're almost 180ing, and they're releasing 3 models that are still, they're not maybe the strongest in the segment, but they seem like they have fixed a bunch of stuff and will be more popular this time around.
So yeah, we did a video. I did a video Wednesday where I kind of just briefly gave an overview of the all new 2026 Subarus. And a lot of people said in the comments, Subaru is late to the game. I don't know if they are now, because we have a lot of other people kind of bowing out of the game. And they're like, oh, yeah, we may be late to the game, but guess what? We're going to play now because you guys are all leaving.
Late to the game, but now the pool is smaller. So
yes, we may be late to the pool, but guess what? It's closing time and there's less people in it for us to play. And so, yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, all the Subarus, like I said, there's nothing groundbreaking on the new Subarus, on the Uncharted, the Trail Seeker, there's not like, man, but they're just like mostly all the other EVs out there right now. They're same charge rate, same range. It's just like,
they're not necessarily pushing the envelope any.
No,
but if they're, again, like we were mentioning, Subaru owners in general are pretty diehard Subaru owners.
They
usually.
are.
And now that's like, oh, I could get an Equinox or I could buy a Solterra that on paper is pretty much the same as far as range and charging and day-to-day use and all that. And
but you may get a better build quality from Subaru. So,
and I can stay in my brand.
Yep. or I have a Crosstrek. Maybe I want to move to the the Uncharted or Trail Seeker
Uncharted,
with Uncharted. Now I can just move to Uncharted, and and it's just, it's funny because here we tried to get our hands on a Solterra, and the first one they got twice now, and they've both been gone from our lots here.
They've both sold between the time that we reached out and the Saturday of that week.
Yes. So literally
we don't reach out super early because we get our cars from dealerships. So we know like, well, I can't make a plan for 2 weeks from now because in 2 weeks it could be gone. So we generally try to like, if we know we're recording on a Saturday, we'll start reaching out on like Tuesday or Wednesday. Just like, hey,
that's when we did.
You have this, whatever. We reached out on a Wednesday and it was gone on Thursday. And it's like, oh, okay. And he told us
out on Wednesday.
It had literally.
No, I reached out on a Wednesday. He said, I'm not going to be here. Hit up this guy. Said, hey, just want to let you know we'll be there Saturday morning. He texted me Friday morning and said, we just sold it.
Yeah.
Like,
and
well, thank you for telling me so I didn't show up. That was 2 days.
Both times now, the cars have literally shown up to the dealership. Like they've not even been on the lot long.
Nope.
And so it's just interesting. It'll be interesting to see how these sales numbers, Hyundai's been pretty high up on the list for a while. Of course, Tesla is still pretty, always number 1, number 2. I'm curious to see how this starts shaking out now that we have Toyota and Subaru coming in.
I'm curious what the end of the year is going to hold and who the top 5 will be at the end of the year.
Yeah. So Honda, man. And I feel like too, does it feel a little early to now be calling it?
Yeah, I mean,
with the current everything going on, how much is oil? How much is
they could have just said, you know what, we're going to start with 1. Let's pick 1 and see what happens. We're going to work with 1. We'll do some pre-order, do some sales, but no, they scrapped all of them. It just
and it's just
they got scared, I guess.
They got scared. Now it feels a little premature because
gas is
oil prices
almost $100 a barrel again as we record. I believe it's like 97. So as we record.
And so it's like, if this continues on and the current wars continue on, it's like gas is going to get more expensive. And I feel like that's going to push more people to looking at and shopping for EVs. It might not, but I feel like it probably would.
For those on the fence, this may be that may be a deciding
This might
factor.
be what pushes them. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, I don't know. I'm like, really? I mean, my son has a gas car. It costs him an extra $5 to fill up this week alone.
Yep.
So not much. He's a Mazda 3, 23 to $28. It's still. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, 2 weeks ago, we're in Arkansas, so I'm about to say numbers that are low. And if anyone watches in California, I'm sorry. It was like 230 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And it's currently 320 by my house.
I think it's 290 by my house.
Yeah, it's 320 down the road from me.
Yep.
Which I don't know why I'm noticing. I don't buy gas anymore, but unless for a lawnmower. But
I didn't know it went up until my son came and says, "Bruh, it was almost $30 to fill my car up." I said, I'm sorry. He's like, you should have bought me an electric car. I'm like, well, I wanted to get you a Bolt, but you said you were too cool
But
for
you
that.
said
So
no.
he's saying, so you don't get an
I still
electric
think he
car.
should have got a Bolt, but
Could
you
have
live
had
and you
one.
learn.
Colin had a bunch of nice ones in there, low mileage. I could have snagged him up one for
And they were
15,
cheap.
16,000. Yep. So could have got him a newer Bolt than, compared to an older Tesla. And it would have worked out fine. So,
Oh, well.
oh well. All right. So what do we do this week, Sebastian? So what happened on
did we
Monday?
do
What did
this
we
week?
release on Monday?
What did we
Monday
release
was
Monday?
our what I love about my
No.
it was my 4-year ownership of the EV6.
Oh, range
Wasn't it?
test.
Range test. Sorry, I've done so much EV testing. Yeah, range test was Monday. So yeah, we took the Kia EV6 after 40 years and 60-some thousand miles on a range test, and it did surprisingly well.
It did fine.
Yep. I mean, it did good. Perfect weather, perfect conditions. I mean, it was perfect.
Perfect weather, perfect conditions. All
Yeah,
that
so if
jazz
you're-
was good.
If you want to watch a range test video, we did ours a little different. We did ours from 10 to 100% because that's how you normally start a trip. You get in your car and you have 100% and you drive to about 10 or 15% and you charge. So yeah. So if you want to watch that video, take a little peek at that. And then on Wednesday, like I said, I did a little short little video talking about the 3 new Subarus coming out. So that's out too. And it's kind of that's kind of where we've been. Been a little slow this time of year, waiting for all the new models to come in. So have some different
Yeah, which
content
we've
out there
talked
for
about
you.
some. And like you mentioned, Wednesday you talked about Subaru, and now Friday we're talking about the news.
Yep.
Monday, upcoming, we have our last, I promise you for now, last ownership update coming. We got Joel's wife to talk about what she likes and doesn't like about her EV9. We all 3 bought new cars basically at the same time, and so
Yep.
we've all hit 6 months at the same time.
Yep.
But Joel and his wife talk about their EV9 experience and how they like it so far. What do they like? What do they not like? They talk a little bit about, since this was the first time they leased a car, they talked about how that process has been so far. Do they have any regrets? Do they regret not being able to necessarily put more than 15,000
miles on a year.
Yeah.
We're not bad. I mean, we're halfway in. We're halfway in it. We're at 6,700. So we're right there.
But yeah, anyway, so that'll be coming Monday. And then I don't know what we're doing Wednesday. We'll see.
Nope. I usually decide that Monday. Like, let's see what's going on in the world. And we'll talk about that on Wednesday. So, yep. Maybe I get Sebastian hop on another Wednesday episode with me. Maybe he can fit me into
you just gotta warn me.
Maybe he's got to fit me. He's got to fit me into his busy schedule. So I believe that's it.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio entertainment, be sure to follow us on there, leave us a rating, like whatever your app uses. It does help us grow. So long, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Friday Charge.